Action, action. First and Zyn. We're coming to you
Little coffee and
Wednesday
Zyn this
morning.
morning. Little coffee and Zyn, the great makeup of a good
I
shit.
have my Attacto cock. Shout out to Black Rifle. It's a rooster holding an M4.
Oh,
What's more American than that?
we got the
So we're
cover
here this
it
morning.
right here.
Oh,
So
look at that. This is
full
not
on
coordinated.
Yeti, baby.
This is not coordinated. It just happens that we're both very patriotic and American.
Great American.
Um, let's make America great again. And we are coming to you live on a Wednesday morning. We are Wednesday morning filming. We might be doing some more morning film pods.
Hey, we got families now. Honestly, I love you guys, but fuck you. My family's way more important than this fantasy. Although maybe it's because I'm 0-3, and if I was 3-0, I would, maybe put fantasy before my family. I don't know. We're just really pissed off. I mean, honestly, there's nothing worse on a Sunday. Like Kinsey was like, "Are you okay last Sunday?" And I was like, "There's nothing worse than your fantasy team getting the shit kicked out of them or playing terrible. Your actual favorite NFL team getting the absolute dick kicked out of them. I mean, everything could have gone wrong for the Texans. The only saving grace is I talked to Tegan. I decided to diversify my fantasy makeup. I'm in 6 leagues this year, so I
Yep.
was like, I am totally drafting way different in each league because I get caught up on a couple players more times than not. I'm fucking wrong on it, and then I'm shitty across the board. I just want to kill myself. So I'm the only thing holding me up. The Kraken is alive in a few states, and we're drowning over here. To be honest,
You were drowning, and the commission's sitting there at 3-0, which you love to see it. Only me and Caleb at 3-0. Cody said
hold
he
on. Fun stat point here,
here's a
and
fun
two
stat.
things. One,
I'll
number
let
one, I'm
you.
really pissed off that still Caleb has Jordan Mason on his goddamn team. My fucking fault. I didn't read the rules. I guess our league is fucking weird. We're past that. Another stat I wanted to bring up. And I already asked Tegan. I wish I would have done spontaneous just to get an idea, but I'll tell you what he said. I did say spontaneous off the record here. I said, Tegan, what do you think the points against spread is between you, who has the least amount of points scored against him, and Dylan, who has the most amount of points scored against him? He said, I don't know, like, would you say 30 or 60? What'd you say? 60?
60.
167.9 points is the difference between Dylan and Tegan. And Tegan came back to say, "Oh, my team's been consistent. A lot of points put up there. Fucking sixth. That's very average. There's only a 30-point difference between me and second to last and Tegan in fucking second place."
Week 3 outlier, I had 73 points. First 2 weeks, I had 110.
I will,
I played good defense.
Fugazi.
I'm playing
I saw this as a different way. We already have this kind of baked in. We'll get into the actual pod here, but I saw this was a great idea. I saw in a league where
and do half and half.
the two wins. I love
Yeah.
that. You
But we
get
got it baked in. We got it baked in
it
already.
is somewhat baked in, but
If you do
just a
that,
thought.
Johnny Kaiser, what Cody was going to say, sorry, I interrupted. What Johnny Kaiser actually brought that up about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And I think that's why we switched to the 4-2 is because each week you get a win if you're in the top 6 in points. And then each week you get a win or loss against your matchup. So you have 2 wins or losses each week, which I like. And I think that's a good idea, but I think we're pretty much already doing that
It's baked in
with
the
the
cake
top
a
two.
little
I don't
bit.
think anybody's really been yeah, it like the one year Johnny Kaiser might have still maybe missed the playoffs because he only won like 3 games, but he still scored fifth or sixth highest points. So he might have been fringed, might not make the playoffs. He ended up winning the championship that year. So I think how we have it,
I almost won the year I went I was like 4-8. Like
yeah,
sometimes
I like our structure.
so okay, but I digress.
A lot of ball left, by the way. Fuck, we're already in our sorrows. We only week
No, we're
3.
fine. I forgot we have a couple things to turn on. We'll get into that. But Tegan and I were discussing just kind of the rundown of the pod. Apologies on missing last week. Again, we'll blame it on the family dynamic. But we'll get into Schmig and Tiger Vision of the week. And then rather than just going matchup by matchup, we just thought, hey, let's just get a quick look at every team and see what's going good for them and where the woes are. And then we'll go for there. So before we get into each team, Schmig play of the week by far and away, guys, Rosose. You have an absolute freight train in Jaden Daniels, who is so far probably one if not the biggest steals in the draft. And you're starting Derek Carr, who I understand he started off pretty hot, but let's be honest, dude. Like you can't bench a guy that has the rushing ability of Jaden Daniels at any point. I get it because I was if you're in my shoes with Anthony Richardson, makes sense because the guy can't fucking hit a brick wall, and he's just absolutely brutal, and then doesn't decide to ever run. But Jaden Daniels just looked phenomenal through 3 weeks, 28 points last week. And Derek Carr 7.98. So Mig of the week, Kai just I don't know if it would have been enough to win your matchup, but at least you got a little closer. Points matter in our league.
Man, just want
Um,
to say real quick on Jaden, that throw to clinch the game last week or 2 nights ago to McLaurin, that was just 3rd and 8, pressure situation, had to have it. Cliff says, let's take a shot, let's go for the jugular, and just throws a dime. Great catch. I mean, that was just beautiful.
absolute.
Jaden's a real deal. Jaden's a real deal.
And I was saying, like, I love Terry McLaurin coming in the year. I think long term, and again,
He'll be fine.
you have both those guys. So like,
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Um, and again, we didn't feel like there was a phenomenal Tiger vision of the week, but we still got one here with Battle Bears taking a tough L, put up some good points, but took a tough L against Green Jackets. But starting Dallas Goddard, 24 points for Philly, with Kittle being injured. So great start there, being able to make up because tight end is an absolute, elephant graveyard out there right now. Like it is probably the weirdest year of all time for tight ends. I mean, they're just not being
You're
utilized.
breaking up.
Oh, you got me there. I'm good on my end. You're frozen.
I got Wi-Fi issues.
Oh my God. There we go. We're back. You hear me now? Gee,
Yeah.
cripes.
Give me 1 second. Can we pause it?
Yeah.
Just do a monologue. Do a monologue. Give me 1 minute.
All
Just
right.
monologue.
All right.
Vent about something.
Little monologue. But yeah, so tight end's been an absolute dumpster fire. Looking throughout the year. I mean, you look at these guys, some of the guys that were drafted up top. Trey McBride on my team hasn't done dick. Fell on the football in the end zone to save his week last week. But currently sitting, what is he at? He's currently sitting at, it says tight end 4, which is nuts because he hasn't done anything. Schmig taking Mark Andrews, fun stat that we're going to talk about later. Guess how many routes Mark Andrews ran in a 28-point win this past week? If you guess 4, fucking kudos to you because he ran 4 total routes, which is nuts. Talk about a guy who's just, I mean, he was drafted as a top 3 tight end. He's maybe not even going to start the rest of the season. Like, come in Isaiah Likely. I know the guy's always been a stud, but it could be the end and a slow death for Marky Mark there. I mean, talk about a big one, Travis Kelce. Like I've heard the guy Daniel Dopp who's saying this is the year that Kelce finally dies, and it's happening before our eyes here. Travis Kelce is just not playing Travis Kelce type football. I mean, he was always the number 1 target in Kansas City, regardless of the receivers that they brought in. But the death is coming. I mean, Rashee Rice is just phenomenal pick. Schmidt, you're good. You're good.
We're good now.
Well, kudos to the guys that do the monologues and can just talk to themselves for like 5 hours straight in the midnight burner of like radio. It's fucking great. Like, unless you get guys like flashing up flashcards in front of you, like
Yeah,
that's
tough.
it's a gift. I mean, it's fun because you have no one else to banter with, so like you're always going to be right, whatever your take is.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Nobody pushing back. It's
yes,
perfect. You can say whatever you want. Ask Colin Cowherd. So I heard you said Mark Andrews thing. I wanted to bring up. We talked about it a little bit before the podcast. Like, what's going on with the NFL, right? I was talking about this with one of our other co-owners, Schmigasaurus Rex, last night. Like, is it parity? Are the teams becoming more even across the board in talent, or are we just watching like kind of a pretty bad product on the field right now because they don't play we talked about this week 1 pod. Like, they don't play the preseason
matters.
games. They don't practice really as hard anymore. It's like it takes a few weeks of the regular season, it seems like nowadays, especially this year, until teams really get going. Last week, 5 teams that were favored by a touchdown or more lost outright. That doesn't happen. Ask the survivor pool people. I was one of them. I am no longer one of them. 1,600 people in this entry that I was in. There's only 65 people left. Through 3 weeks, all you have to do is pick the easiest win of the week. And through 3 weeks, there's only 65 out of 1,600.
By the way, Tegan would still be alive who would just listen to me and said, played the fucking Jets this past
I
week.
should have taken the Jets. I messed up. I thought the Patriots are going to bring them into the mud. But you know what? I didn't see Washington beating Cincy on Monday night. I didn't think Cincy was going to go 0-3. Like, I didn't see Cleveland. I didn't see Daniel Jones coming out and beating Cleveland with how
Let's
bad.
be honest. No one saw, even though you picked the Bucks, which I didn't think it was a terrible pick.
Nobody saw that. Nobody
saw Denver just kicking the Bucks in the dirt. Like,
it wasn't even a close game. It was a domination.
In Tampa.
Yeah, it was a domination in Tampa. Several of those games, I think almost all of them, that touchdown favorite was at home, and they just flat out got smacked.
Fun fact. What do you think is Travis Kelce's total point? Like, what highest point game thus far?
5.5.
5. How many total yards do you think is maxed out this year thus far? Receiving yards.
42.
34 yards.
Yep. Well, I will say, I don't want to say that I'm a genius or anything, but there was a lot of people beating that drum before the season started. The Travis Kelce, like, hey, you saw him. I know in the playoffs last year, he came back to Travis Kelce, but even during the regular season, I'm pretty sure I had him on my team last year. You could kind of see him like slowing down a little bit. Like when he got hit, he kind of, stumbled back. Now he's got the Swifties in his ear. He's distracted. He's old. He's signed a $100 million podcast deal with Spotify. He's not. He'll just wait for the playoffs. He'll be pedestrian during the regular season, and then he'll go 10 for 120 and 2 touchdowns.
You want to know your top tight end? Can you name the top 4 tight ends?
I have this. Hold on. Let me get to this. I got some.
Drop some knowledge on us. I
got a few things. So we'll get into this. We'll make it kind of quick, and then we'll go to the quick teams, and then we got to actually go to work for the day. This is our second job, but soon to be potentially primary job once the first and Zyn Pod takes off, and we're
gonna go off
my deal as well. All right, here's a few just things. I'm gonna go through a couple top 5s at their position, but before that, I just want to say a couple of fun facts. There is one defense in the NFL, fantasy defense, that has outscored Bijan Robinson for the year. That's a fun fact. I
don't love that, given he's on my football team.
Correct. There are 4 defenses that have outscored both CD and Tyreek Hill for the year. 4 defenses outscored CD and Tyreek Hill for the year. I don't love that. Those are 3 of the top 5 picks.
There's probably a defense out there that outscored Travis Kelce in 1 week.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
11 points.
Score. Yeah, so that's a kind of a crazy stat. So 3 of the top 5 guys not performing that well. CD, he looks lost. Bijan, I think he'll get going. Tyreek, I think Snoop Huntley needs to get the start. We got to do something different there in Miami because Skylar Thompson with the 2 gloves is not the answer.
One of my dynasty quarterbacks. Give him a shot.
Yeah, he's not. You have Huntley?
No, not Huntley. Skylar.
Oh, he's terrible. He's got to go. All right. So here's where it gets a little fun, right? So the running backs, the top 5 running backs for the year, these are all guys except for Cook, who shout out to Tanner, James Cook, 4th round. But Saquon Kamara was a great pick too. Derrick Henry, Kieran Williams, James Cook, all pretty much guys that you would expect to be up there. There's a few guys that aren't there that you would have expected to be here. The Breece Hall, the Bijan Robinson, the first 2 running backs take. Obviously CMC hasn't played, but pretty normal. Then you go over to receiver, right? You're going to like this one. So receiver, first receiver in the NFL in fantasy, Neighbors.
Yep.
Beast, certified stud. He was a 4th round draft pick. Rashee Rice is number 2, also 4th round draft pick in our league. Jawan Jennings, after 1 monster week,
undrafted, most points. Which, by the way, I just picked him up this morning. I was for sure he was going to get taken off of waivers, cleared waivers. No one picked him up. Grizz actually picked him up in lieu of Greg Dortch.
I had a little asterisk next to it. I said Grizz dropped for Greg.
I mean, let's be honest. You weren't going to start him this week, so like it wouldn't have mattered. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't think whenever they get healthy, I doubt he's going to be a factor. But you just never know.
No, No, I don't think so. They're missing so many dudes. So you got Juwan Jennings undrafted at the 3 spot. Then your boy Chris Godwin,
I'm
an
looking
eighth
at it
round
here.
draft pick.
I have three of the one, two, three, four, five. I have three of the top six receivers on my team.
That's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. And then Justin Jefferson is the 5th receiver at the. He was drafted in the
He looks
1st.
great, man.
Besides that,
He's just that good. Sam Darnold is probably comeback player of the year thus far.
looks pretty good.
Pretty cool
Looks pretty
story. I
good.
think it's kind of like a situation with old boy in fucking Detroit, like going from LA, like just absolute dumpster fire over there, and then
Yep.
just for some reason it just works.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like sometimes people just get put in these situations where they can't succeed, like no
Well,
matter
there's a
what.
lot of pressure. I think when you take that first round stigma off them, and it's like, hey, this is your second stint, you already are considered a bust. Now you
Yeah,
have the pressure off, and you go play free.
yep, I would agree.
All right, I cut you off, and now we're headed to tight ends here. Go for it.
And yeah, we're heading to tight ends, but just to summarize those, also there's 2 running backs and 2 receivers, both in the top 10 at their respective positions that were drafted 6th round or later. So you say, hey, this is the garbage rounds. I'm just throwing darts. Not necessarily. My boy David Montgomery is one of them. The guy just scores 12 to 15 a game, just a stud.
He's always going to fall into the end zone. Always.
Yeah, always. He's a
Gonna be going. He'll be like at the grocery store and trip and somehow fall into.
Yeah, he's in
there.
And Campbell's got the Applebee's menu in front of his face. David Montgomery the ball. Give him the ball. Can't see what you're saying, but give him the ball.
But it's X tight end, dude. He run the fucking rock.
Yeah, he loves to run the ball, and he loves David Montgomery. He loves a good 4 yards of carry guy. All right, tight ends. Now this is where it gets just crazy. So everybody, you draft your tight ends early. You pick the studs. Here's the top 5 tight ends. Dallas Goedert, after one big week, 11th round draft pick. Shout out to Grizz. Brock Bowers, 9th round draft pick. Isaiah Likely, even after the 1 week, is still at 3rd. He's undrafted. Cole Kmet explodes this last week. Still on the free agency if you want to pick him up. I don't think
that Trumpster picked him up.
Trumpster picked him up as we're filming this pod, or maybe just before that. Cole Kmet also undrafted, and then McBride, your guy, in the 5th round. So you have an 11th round, 9th round, 2 undrafted.
McBride's the only guy in there who is drafted in probably the top 6 to probably the top 8 rounds. Like everyone in there.
No, I just said 11th round, 9th round, undrafted are the 4 of the 5. That's it. You got one guy.
I like to feel like there's a consolation that I picked the right tight end because I picked Mark Andrews. But to be honest, I don't feel great. He has 25 3 weeks. Like that doesn't make me feel any better.
The tight end position is just down bad right now. It's the fact that Likely's still in there after pretty much throwing up like goose eggs the last 2 weeks, or that Goddard and Kmet are there after throwing up goose eggs the first 2 weeks. Shows you how bad the position is.
Big boom bust.
So that one I thought that was super interesting. And then we'll go to quarterbacks really quick. You got some of your usual suspects there. Josh Allen, I mean, MVP to start through 3 weeks. I know it's a lot of football left, but the guy looks just money right now. That's what happens when you get rid of your diva receiver. And then you got Lamar Jackson at 2. So you got the 2 usual suspects. Jaden Daniels at the 3 spot. As you mentioned earlier, the guy's got rushing upside, which you love to see during fantasy. And so does those top 3 guys all have rushing upside.
Top four. You're missing.
And then number 4 is Kyler Murray, my boy, also rushing upside. And then you got Mega Mind Sam Darnold coming in at the 5th spot. Shout out to Sam Darnold. The guy looks rejuvenated. Aaron Jones says, I've been on a lot of good football teams. This team is different. Now, let's relax, Aaron Jones. You guys are
take Aaron Jones. Fuck the Packers.
You guys aren't that good, but come on, man. So that rounds that out. But just kind of an interesting after 3 weeks to.
Did you know that Deshaun Watson has more points than Patrick Mahomes and CJ Stroud, as well as Anthony Richardson this year? Deshaun Watson.
Really? Wow.
Looking at
I saw something about Mahomes where he's only cracked 20 points in fantasy like 3 out of the last 17 games.
Yeah,
It's not the offense they run anymore. They're like, we have good defense. We're kind of gonna control the game. We're gonna take lateral passes. It's different. I think he'll still have the occasional pop week with like Worthy taking a couple to the crib and maybe Rashee Rice taking a slant and fucking taking it 80.
have that downfield presence that they
Yeah,
used
they just don't run that offense anymore. It's
Yeah.
just a different offense. And you know what? They're 3-0.
The run game's utilized more than it ever has as well.
Yeah, they're 3-0 and it's good for them. So I don't see that really changing anytime soon. And then last thing, we'll go to the teams. So every year it's like, oh, I got to draft my defense. I got to get the good defenses. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get the good defenses. So the three defenses that were drafted first this year: Niners, Ravens, Texans. They're 17th, 19th, 13th.
I already
The
dropped the
defense
Ravens. I
thing,
already dropped
yeah,
them.
the defense thing is. You guys keep doing it. I hope you keep doing it. I hope you keep doing it.
I mean, it was the last pick. It was my last pick. Like, what? You're not going to not draft a defense. Like, I don't know what you want us to do. It was my
Well,
last pick.
no, you had it was your second to last pick. I
Okay.
looked at the draft board. I looked at the draft board. Maybe
Who
you
would I
could have
got in lieu of?
you might have got Dallas Goedert right there.
Yeah, well, you draft Trey McBride, you really hope you don't need Dallas Goedert.
It's just funny. It's funny to see. It's 3 weeks. It's a lot of football left, but just some fun stuff there.
But yeah, just a weird year. But we'll start with the teams here, and what I'll do is maybe I'll share the screen here, Schmig. We'll go.
Oh yes, I like that. I like that.
And oh yeah, nice day right there on tap. That pop up for you there.
Yep.
All right, so we're looking at first overall. We'll do this by ranks, give you an idea. So here's actual season ranks for each player here, if you want to identify it. So Joe Mixon missed last week, so kind of a fluke. I think Joe's a great steal there. Jordan Mason shouldn't even be on your fucking team. Malik Neighbors, again, huge hit there. Big win. Patty Mahomes, we talked about the struggles again. QB 14. I think he'll probably settle inside the top 10, top 12 somewhere. But I don't think you're going to see the value in where
No. He's not scoring 28, 30 points. I don't think he's doing that. Those days are gone.
Olave, I think long term, I think he's going to be fine. I think you saw that this past week when he started at the Rock. Pickens, yeah. I think he's going to be so, but not anywhere, something to write home about. Hubbard just got picked up off the waiver last week prior to his big boom week, which these two guys, are we
Both
talking
of
about
them went off.
Talking about the Andy Dalton-led offense here that's just going to give some life back here? I don't know. Maybe these guys become relevant. And then naturally, here's the big one here with Christian McCaffrey sitting on the IR. So, yeah, I like the team. Is he number one overall? I don't see anything that phenomenal, which is really pissing me off. But yeah, I mean, it's a solid team.
I think it's solid. You put McCaffrey back in there with Mixon, like two workhorse guys, and then those receivers. I think the Pickens one is definitely the weak link, but Olave is going to get it going, and Neighbors is just certified stud. It's a solid team. I agree with you. I don't know if it's
number one overall. It's a solid team. I don't not like the team. I just number one overall. I don't know. Go back to the league here.
Oh yeah, come at the number 2 spot, baby. 3-0.
3-0. Number 2 overall. So again, Kyler, huge hit there. I think he's going to be a star all year. You just need to keep him healthy. Josh Jacobs, I don't know, man. I mean, I haven't watched enough Green Bay football. So, like, what do you see on eye test? Is he Josh Jacobs of Oakland when he had the big year, or?
Oh, he rushed for a $180 last week or $160 last week when they knew that he was going to run the ball every time. Then he had to play the Titans. Titans have a pretty good run defense. I also think when Jordan Love comes back, hopefully this week, he's going to be able to open up the pass game a little bit. And I think Jacobs will be fine. I don't think he's going to be a finish as a top 5 guy, but top 12. I
think your running backs are all just like plain vanilla running backs. They're like the running backs of old, not going to catch any footballs, but there's a good chance that each of them fall into the end zone every week and save them.
I love David Montgomery.
11 to 15 points. Everyone needs those guys. I hate it every year where I'm like, oh, that's not a sexy pick, but like a guy that fills in and gets a consistent 11 to 15. James Conner was always my guy to do that.
Yeah.
And you need them. You need those guys to fill the gap. Devontae Adams, kind of a regression last week. But I mean, I think everything's going to be fine. He's going to get the targets, wide receiver 14 on the year. Tyreek, I think, is your biggest thing. You need Tua healthy for him to go.
Yeah, I got to do something.
Simple as that.
Tom Brady, come out and take that microphone off, take that headphone off, and get out of the booth and get on the field. Come play for Miami for a few games.
That would be Tom. Such a Tom Brady move. And then
come on, Tom.
In the Super Bowl. I mean, again, you have it saved Devontae Smith here at wide receiver 8. So again,
Yeah,
hopefully.
Devontae's a stud. He almost got pretty much killed on the field last week. That was
Yep.
disgusting what they did to him. I can't believe
It's
that guy should be.
questionable here.
Yeah, that guy should be suspended for a while. I don't see how he plays this week. I mean, he got popped and then he got hit again once he was on the ground. But love me some Devontae Smith. So I like my team. I think on paper I got a very strong team.
I like it. I actually think I like it a little bit more than Caleb's. But good fill-in guys. Tyreek, a lot of dependent on the quarterback there. So I like the team. I like the team as much as it hurts me to say.
There you go.
On to Boss Hog, who got some criticism from us, I think, at the early part of the year in terms of where we had him, but kind of just shoving it in our face here. Caleb Williams at QB 27, so you don't love that. And he picked up Brock Purdy to save the day. I continue to think starting Caleb Williams over Brock Purdy, that's going to be tough on a week in, week out basis, but
Yep.
maybe they turn the corner. I don't know. Here's where everything is rolled between these three players. Aaron Jones has been an absolute steal and a revelation in a Minnesota backfield. Saquon, fuck you, Marshall. He's definitely a top 10 running back. If anyone doesn't know, me and Marshall had a huge discussion where Marshall's adamant that Saquon is not a top 10 running back in the NFL, like planting the flag. I'm like, how are you a football guy and this is your job? And Saquon's not a top 10 running back. That's retarded. And Rashee Rice. That's the team right there.
Rashee Rice, this the dog.
That is literally the team. He was on my love list personally. Wasn't able to get back to me in the draft. But you know what? I guess I didn't have strong enough conviction to take him earlier. That's on me.
Look at Jaden Reed at a little 9 overall wide receiver ranking. Shout out to Jaden Reed. I think he's got somebody on his bench too that's really good. That he's benching Garrett Wilson and Brock Bowers. So he's got a pretty good depth there between those two guys.
And Pollard too is the true bell cow in Tennessee. So I think again,
I like Steven's team.
Really strong team. I don't love the Tank Dell play that you're kind of planting the flag there where it's tough to spread the ball to three guys in an offense. It's really difficult to do. I don't think it's a talent thing with him. I think it's purely just not enough passes to go around.
Man, they gotta come out. They gotta beat Jacksonville by 10 plus. I mean,
I think they're gonna come out just absolutely pissed off. If we lose to Jacksonville, I'll break something very
that's bad.
On the Nave Especial again, two guys that are just holding down. Alvin Kamara, we've seen what I saw him personally in week 2, what he did to me, 40-point lead. So didn't love that. Brees here at 5, but after that, man, I don't see
not a whole lot to get excited about.
Really anything to get excited about. Amari Cooper finally decided to play football in week 3 after pretty much doing absolutely nothing. Drake London, I think there's better days ahead. I think they're still figuring out ways to use them, which is wild. Ramondre Stevenson, another guy. I think maybe that's where we're missing. I think did he play last week?
No, he played. He went for 0.8 points against the Jets.
That's right. But through 2 weeks, I think he was much higher rankings. He's at 23 even with that 0.8. So I think he had 2 good weeks and then kind of fell back to earth, which I think is what you're going to see going forward. I do not love the depth here. I think when we get into some bye weeks, you're going to see some issues.
Well, this is why we had Benning at the second to last preseason power rankings. However, he is 2-1. He's riding the tail.
I would bet regression. I'm betting regression.
I'm betting regression.
I think we should have done a new segment here. Let's
go next week. Next week, a third of the way through the season, or somewhat of a third, and we'll do a little regression. A buy or sell.
Buy or sell. That's what I was going for. Buy or sell there. I'm selling that stock high.
By the way, he has Breece Hall, and I don't think he's like getting exposed to getting work taken from him, quote unquote. Braylon Allen is an absolute stud out of Wisconsin. My God, that guy runs hard.
Looks good, man.
Like 6.5 yards a carry or something.
The guy was a power back. He's actually a little bit more shifty than you think. Like I think.
He's just a running back, man. He can do it all.
Yep. And then here with Green Jackets, I think it's kind of some mid players, right? Just guys that you saw Derrick Henry do Derrick Henry things this past week, and hopefully that unleashes him going forward. JT hasn't really gotten off to a great start. Where that's pretty much the whole Colts offense. I've seen that with Pittman and my quarterback there. Dak somehow still at QB7. We talked about it. I thought that was a steal on our draft by getting him I think it was one of the last, I mean, 3 or 4 rounds getting Dak his QB7 on year. So love that value. T. Higgins, again, this isn't true because he missed the first 2 weeks. So it's great to get him back. Brian Robinson, you like him at 16 when in terms of the value that you got there. Kelsey, is there better days ahead? I don't know. And
I don't know.
Metcalf's had a strong start. I have him in my dynasty league. He's played well through the first couple weeks.
Seattle's slinging the ball. They're slinging the rock. I like Metcalf season long this year. I think he's going to have a good year. Maybe a trade target for some folks, but I like DK. I like DK a lot. I think Wearsing's team is pretty solid. I mean, Keenan Allen might get it going too.
I think Chase Brown looked pretty good this past week, who turned some eyes and, continue to get some pass down where it could be relevant in the future.
Yeah. And then Alec Pierce just having himself a start. I think he's wide receiver 16, shout out to Alec Pierce. That's going to stop. Josh Downs is back. That's going to stop. Like you said, Rich, not the most accurate guy in the world.
They just need to let the guy fucking do some dinks and dunks. Just get some confidence. Cause when he's against Houston, I mean, he missed even a couple of the throws, but when he was throwing the deep ball, it was dead on.
So we're saying, solid team, about where you should be. I think if we're talking power rankings, you're at 5th. I think that's about where you're at.
Perry, this is a huge deal for you here. Lamar, where you drafted him, again, is doing exactly what you want. Here's where you've been saved by the bell is Rachaad White. I knew was false. I hated Rachaad White coming into this year. His efficiency is terrible. Bucky Irving, as of this past week, they said is going to get a lot more tote. So I think your saving grace here is Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet coming in. Again, probably going to regress whenever Ken Walker comes back into the fold. So something you're going to have to figure out.
RB2 is, and we talked about that at the very beginning, is his RB2 is looking very suspect. We called that at the beginning of the thing. And then even Zach Moss, who looked pretty good.
Zach Moss, Rachaad White, Charbonnet, Madison, Spears. You don't feel great long-term about that at all.
Yeah, we don't like that. Lamar Jackson's just got to continue to ball to hold it down for you. But I'm seeing a little bit of this.
Yeah, I like a good trend down, and not because we have, a multi-$1,000 bet deal with you. But
we're purely objective on this podcast.
Purely objective. Just purely objective. We're good. I mean, okay, so he has Jalen Waddle down here. That's kind of the hidden gem. But again, I think same issue with you. Skyler is to Dyler. So I'm just gonna die on the vine there. Going on to Battle Bears at 1 and 2. I got my little dude over here. What's up, Coops? You want to say what up to the podcast? No? Okay. All right. Josh Allen.
Is he rolling out a double tight end this week?
Oh, baby. That's
first double tight end.
You love to see it. I mean, you're having issues elsewhere. He's betting on one of these Kansas City running backs. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like either of them is going to be relevant. Steele was the main guy there, but who knows with Kareem Hunt getting back to the fold. Najee Harris, I was fading him all day. Ken Walker, hoping to get him back again, would be to the detriment of the Trumpster there. Jamar Chase looked like Jamar Chase finally last week.
You got to go.
See that. Jameson Williams, on the contrary, had a huge regression relative to his first 2 weeks. So I think he's a boom bust guy. Reminds me a lot of Deshaun Jackson from back in the days. He'll win you some weeks, but also lose you some weeks.
Yep.
Tight end 1, Dallas Goedert, baby.
Dallas Goedert,
tight end 1. But again,
hey, throw Dortch in there, Grizz. What you doing?
Throw a little Dortch in there, man. But
a redemption game.
I think you see a similar thing here. Pacheco's going to be out for 5 to 6 weeks, so that's a long time. But I think the depth could cause some issue here long term.
Yeah, for sure. You don't in a podcast where we just talked about how terrible the tight ends have played this year. You don't love to see a
double tight end start.
You don't like to see that.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you got to do, man. It's could be Schmig play of the week or time vision. Really want to get on those polls, man. Joe Burrow again finally looked good this past week, so he's
Lions heavy right here. This guy loves him some Detroit Lions.
Oh, jeepers Christ!
Yeah,
we got him scattered everywhere. Amon-Ra finally coming back and playing a little bit like himself. Sam Laporta, don't know if he's going to play this week. He had I'm trying to think of what his injury was here. What was that, by the way? He got injured. Is it an ankle? Oh yeah,
ankle,
it was a is a low ankle sprain, not a high ankle. Stephon Diggs has gotten tons of targets. I think you're going to have a back and forth between him
Whose
and
team is this?
this is Golden Nuts.
Oh yeah, we had him at ranked 1 again. I'm looking at this on paper and I freaking like it.
I like
I
it too.
still
I
like
like
it.
it too. I do. And I think
I
there's
like it. I like a couple of his bench receivers too. I think those guys are just
Clear
going to get
Shakir, man. I think
year.
he's wide receiver 17 on year. I think he's truly
Yeah.
a wide receiver one there. I think Brian Thomas is, I mean, I don't love anyone in Jacksonville right now, but I think he has some high upside going forward. Raheem Mostert's been hurt. So yeah, again, kind of why we liked him. But Sam Laporta hasn't lived up to the hype. Karen Williams has looked good. So yeah, I like the team here.
I like the team.
I think I'm buying low here.
I'm buying low on that on old Braxton. Baby Braxton Prince, I got you, bro. I'm buying low on you.
Shmigasaurus Rex. I think if I looked at this recently, I'm probably selling this team high, maybe not. Again, here's your two winners between Cook and Jefferson. They've both looked absolutely fantastic. Cooper Cup, that was huge. That was huge. That was huge. Really hoping to get Jordan Love back this week, which would be a huge help. But Geno's, held strong in there at a respectable, QB 12, getting him off the bench. Travis Etienne, you don't love to get anyone in Jacksonville. They've just been terrible.
No.
Xavier
and Bigsby's mixing into the action a little bit in Jacksonville too. So I don't like Etienne long term. And then you got the worthy pick, like you said, boomer bust guy.
Here's three that I just don't love.
Mark Andrews, 4 routes. I mean, something's got to give there. Maybe he needs to throw Schultz in there. And then Zamir White, Antonio Pierce for 3 straight weeks are like, we're going to get this guy 25 carries a game. And then he gets like 6. Like, all right, next week.
Shemig tried to sell me Zamir White poolside this past weekend, and I'm like, dude, you can take that and shove it up your ass. I'm not touching Zamir White with a 10-foot pole.
He also tried to trade me Zamir White this week as well. So Shmig is
that should go to show that he does not feel very confident about.
No, he is heavily pushing Zamir White. And in case any of you guys are interested, you know who to call.
Coming in here is Kaiser Sose, which, look, I mean, you see some low numbers here between Jaden Daniels, QB2, Devon Achane. Great pick there. That was risky. We talked about this earlier. Bucky Irving probably going to get more tote. So like that going
Ayuk's going to get better.
Ayuk is 100% going to get better. You don't pay him for that to happen. Marvin Harrison looked like he's back on track 2 weeks in a row. So better days ahead here, I think. And then you have Jonathan Brooks just waiting in the fold to come back for some more depth. Terry McLaurin, I like him moving forward.
Are you buying?
I'm buying here.
You're buying. Wow.
I'm buying. Are you not? You don't feel it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and I see now. I'm not buying on maybe a top 4 appearance, but
No. I think buying as in relative to where he's at now.
He won't finish 10.
Yeah, that's all.
He doesn't have the worst team in the league like we initially thought.
Yep.
I mean, I think that Quentin Johnson and McLaurin play on the bench. Like Quentin Johnson actually looks pretty decent. I would have thought I never would have said that.
I told you this earlier. Looking back at the stats, if you look at it more times than not, the experts in terms of the guys back in the draft room on draft day, when they do their due diligence, they are right more times than they're not. So when someone goes in the first 3 rounds, it may take a little bit longer to develop, but more times than not, they're right on that. So again, Quentin Johnson being a former first rounder from TCU, maybe he's starting to blossom. Took a little bit longer to
He could be. However, I did see his touchdown. It looked like maybe like a cover 2 hole shot, but the safety just fell asleep in the middle of the field. I mean, there wasn't anybody within 20 yards of him. So I'm not giving him too much credit on that last week. But, I think the week before that, he had 2 very impressive touchdown catches. So QJ might be the guy.
That's always nice. Tegan, I'll let you do the analysis here purely for not talking about myself reasons, but go ahead.
Well, look, I mean, he tried to sell high on J.K. Dobbins. He tried to sell high. Nobody bit. That was a very bad lure in the water. People smelled it. No, we don't like that. Where the fish weren't even biting on that, So J.K. Dobbins, I think he'll be all right. I don't think he's going to go 20-20 back-to-back weeks again like he did.
I think they have some tougher plays coming up. I do like that he got the majority of the totes this past week, so they're starting to shift away.
That's a good sign. That is a good sign. I think they have anointed him the number 1 running back, which is a good sign because you never know. So JK, I think he'll be solid. And then you got, Bijan better days ahead for Bijan. I'd be buying Bijan. Chris Godwin, I know your fantasy pros told you to take him. We all talked a lot of shit, but the guy's looking like Tom Brady Super Bowl Chris Godwin again. I mean,
Hey,
he's
that's saying
looking.
wide receiver 3. That's just what the stats
Yeah,
say.
he is looking impressive right
You know
now.
what's bullshit? Just look at the team. Look at the numbers. Look at how many. Sorry,
Yeah,
naturally, I gotta say something. Look at the amount of low numbers. Like wide receiver 4. I know.
Oh, congrats on fucking picking up Juwan Jennings this morning, then
All
talking
right,
about your team rank.
here's where we've had issues. Purely 100%. This is why we can't get together. Anthony Richardson has to be better for us to go. If he doesn't go, my team doesn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think Baker's the answer, but he's playing the toughest. Look at that. Fewest points to QBs. I'm not playing him this week. I'm rolling out
Team
Baker.
looks good. The team looks good. I would say I'd be a
Pittman
buyer.
has been terrible. Absolutely horrible. You paid him $20 million a year to be wide receiver 70. No.
Yeah, but the Godwin savior. I mean, if Puka comes back
That's where we need, dude. We're
and
fine.
can fill in there, that's a very strong 3-punch
Do you
combo.
not see the
I still like
frustration?
Shaheed though.
Do you not see the frustration?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
frustrating as fuck.
it's there. It's there. I think Shaheed is not a bad little sub-in starter. Michael Pittman, I'd pretty much just be out at this point.
I'm out. He's not starting until
He's
I
not
see
an
him.
A rich receiver.
No.
Those two don't
He
work. He
doesn't
needs
dink
Minshew back.
Pittman is a guy who you dink and dunk to. He's a possession guy.
Yeah.
He's not a burner down the field. And all fucking he wants to do is throw fucking 75-yard bombs. Like, dude, you don't have to get 75 every time.
Yeah, I would say I would be a buyer of your team at 11. I think you'll end up higher than that. And then hard 8 at 0-3.
This is rough.
Watch the games with him this Sunday, and he's already talking about next year's draft. So that tells you what you need to know.
Here's where it is. DeAndre Swift, I bought this past week in DraftKings, thinking, okay, they're playing the worst rush defense in the NFL in Indianapolis. Didn't do a fucking thing. This guy is worthless. Sell. Get the hell out of DeAndre Swift. Very bad. Singletary's been a very value in terms of value. Great pick. Great value pick. That's about the pod. Okay, Gibbs. We'll give you Gibbs. But other than that, that's where the positive really kind of fades.
Yeah, he's got AJ and Debo hurt right now, so those guys come back.
That's tough. That's tough. Adunze, very respectable week last week, so maybe
very good.
Kind of slip it into the fold there. Like Carson Steele, no, he's not going to really beat anything. I think it's going to be tough there. Isaiah Likely, again, I think is going to be the new tight end of Baltimore, but who the hell knows? I think he's right about where he needs to be.
Yeah, he will certainly finish.
I mean, I think obviously getting these two guys healthy is going to be big, and he'll be more respectable as a team rather than rolling out Jalen Naylor and fucking Demarcus Robinson. But I don't know. It's not sexy at all.
It's not good. Anytime through 3 weeks you're talking about next year's draft strategy, it's typically not a good sign for old Dilly Poo. I believe we're going to give him a couple more weeks, see if he can potentially start 0-5, and then bring him on the pod and just kind of let him rant for 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to be a therapy couch for him because he's probably going to need it after starting 0-5.
Yep. But, well, guys, nice little morning pod. As you know, look at that. Over by Teagan, the sun's risen. It's not as dark, Great way to start the day. Hey, the good thing about fantasy football is it's a new week. Erase it. Texans, erase it out of the head. You got Jacksonville coming up. Kraken, erase it out, that 57 points out of your head. New week. Let's have a week, boys. Let's have a week.
Let's have a week. Good luck to everybody. I plan on being the only undefeated team after this week. Caleb, I hope you lose.
There will only be one more 0-3 team as I play Dylan. So battle of the dumpster.
Oh, there we go. That's huge.
Dumpster battle. So
that's huge.
One of us is going to be on our wrist.
Peace.
Have a great week.